And for those of you who are using Virtual Advisor in the dashboard, there is, and it doesn't happen 100% of the time, but if you go into the dashboard, you'll notice on the right-hand side of the dashboard, it will crawl the web and pull out any of the social media that email address might be attached to as well. So I would just throw that in, because sometimes, if you're not in the dashboard for any length of time, or you haven't been in it for a while, and that's very effective for admissions people as well, particularly if they're hooked up to Facebook or Twitter or even LinkedIn. So anyway, we're 3:27. We have about 30 minutes or 25 minutes or so. I'd kind of like it to be interactive. I'll throw some questions out there. I'll talk about some things that when I was on the school side, worked very successfully. And it still holds true today. Some of the things that I'll be talking about, though, with COVID and things like that, it's a little bit more of a challenge. Some of the other things, though, however, you can do it from anywhere. One of the things that always drove me nuts when I was running admissions, and I've run admissions teams of 25, 10, 15, 8, but the common thread always was, at some point, we need more leads. We need more leads. We don't have enough leads. Anybody hear that?
Always.
Okay. So and I guess it was born in my roots in admissions. When I started in admissions almost 30 years ago, I was an outside rep, straight commission. Those were the days we could pay straight commission. I started off outside. I was based in Tampa, Florida. Every night, though, we had a 6 and an 8 o'clock appointment, and we would drive. There was 25 of us at the time. We would drive 4, 5, 6 hours to somebody's home, sit there, and do the presentation to the prospective student, mom, dad, grandparents, aunts, uncles. Some of the small towns, you'd have 5 or 6 neighbors in listening to the presentation. So again, the company did provide inquiries to us, but at that time, probably about 40% of my business came from referrals. Before I left the home, I always walked away with 2 or 3 referrals. It was easy. And it may have been easier back then because the school was 5 hours away, and, the buddy system was a great thing. They always wanted to go to school with somebody they knew because they would have to move down. We would help them find housing and jobs and things like that. We had a very strong career services department. So, but referrals were, the mainstay of my business. They really were. They converted at 50, 60, 70%, some cases even higher. So, referrals and PDIs, personally developed inquiries, they convert the highest. They really, really do. Most schools, though, it's the biggest missed opportunity besides website optimization and things like that. But PDIs and referrals, the biggest missed opportunity that schools have, and they miss. And I don't understand it, because it's the simplest thing in the world to create your own leads if you're a rep. And I always treated my admissions job as my business, as my franchise. When I train, and when I did train admissions people, admissions teams, I tried to really instill that in them. Yeah, you're working for the company, but your job is just like a franchise. It's up to you to build that business. So my goal as a rep or as a director of admissions, director of marketing, because back in those days, if you were director of admissions, you were also director of marketing. There was never that split. And in some ways that was great, because, hey, if my feet were being held to the fire for enrollments and starts, then I wanted to have a say-so, and I did have a say-so on the types of leads that were coming in, the type of marketing that was going out. Back then, we didn't have PPL. We didn't have leads that were converting at 0.5% or 1%. My reps were calling hundreds of leads a week, trying to set 1 or 2 appointments. So yeah, in some respects, it was a little bit easier. But The goal always was that 20 to 30% in an ideal world of the lead flow came from referrals and personally developed inquiries. Anybody on the call right now, there's probably about 18 of us on here, anybody hitting that 20 to 30% of your lead flow make up our referrals or personally developed inquiries?
We're exactly 30%. I was looking the numbers up off onto the side. 3% of our leads are referrals, and 30% of our enrollments are referrals, over several thousand over the last year or so.
Fantastic. So you're right. You're right on it. And those leads convert, probably these days, 30, 40%. I would venture a guess. They're probably the highest converting lead in the mix, referrals and even personally developed inquiries as well, because the connection is there. A referral, they probably know somebody going to the school, and they're for lack of a better word, they're pre-sold. So how do you set up a PDI referral plan? It's the easiest thing in the world. It really, really is. And if anybody wants to chat at a later time, this week, next week, we only have about 20 minutes, but we could chat for a half an hour or whatever. So again, some of the obvious things are, and it still flips me out that schools don't recirc their database. Taking the old inquiries, a month, 2 months, 6 months, and having a systemic process to nurture those leads. Conversion rates, I would say admissions is a great job because we get paid for being unsuccessful. What, 15% conversion rate, 15% from lead to enrollment or lead to start. That means that we're unsuccessful 85% of the time. Admissions is a great job because, like I said, we're getting paid for being unsuccessful. It's like being a baseball player. They're giving these guys 20, 30, 40 million bucks to bat a 330. Well, you know what? On the flip side, they're unsuccessful 67% of the time. 67% of the time they get up to bat, they don't make a hit. They get out or whatever. Same with admissions. I always ask my team, hey, I know we don't have any leads. I know the leads suck. All I'm asking you to do is do something with 15% of them. 15% of them. So again, recircing the database. Again, you may have some tools in place at your school, a set process. For those of you with Enrollment Resources, and again, it's not a sell job, but we do have some tools that go along with some of the things that you're doing already. We have the stale lead recovery, we call it, where it can go out. It's a shortened version of the career readiness pathway to recirc your database. It's effective, but anytime I recirc my database, and back in the day, we used to send out direct mail pieces with surveys and postcards and everything else. Yeah, the best we can hope for is about a 1 to 2% response rate. But you know what? If you've got 5,000 leads, 1% is another 50 reignitions of your dead leads. So again, that's a given. That should be done. Student referrals. Again, my teams always walk the halls just like your teams do. Periodically, when I was smoking, I was a rep. That's where I got most of my referrals, in the student break area, smoking with the other students. Hey, who else do you know that wants to go to school? I always walked away with a couple of 3. So I would urge all of you to take up smoking. And no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So here's what I used to do, and it was really, really effective. Again, it's a little bit challenging. Well, it's a lot challenging now. We used to have Student Appreciation Day every quarter. I used to go out and spend $200 on gas cards, restaurant cards, pizza cards, whatever. I would have, in the morning, I would bring in bagels, and donuts, and coffee. At night, I would bring in pizzas. A week before, I would go through all the classes and say, hey, we're going to have Student Appreciation Day. We're going to have a lot of giveaways. Give them all Take One cards. I want the names of people that you think would benefit from going to school. They would write them down. We'd have a drawing in the morning and at night. And we would get 100, 200 referrals. 30% of them were good because the other ones had grandmothers and aunts and uncles and this and that. But you know what? 30% of 200 was 50, 60 referrals that were good. And it cost me $200. So, hey, you're not going to find leads for $6, cost per lead. It's challenging right now to do that, but it was really, really effective when we did that. So what could we do now in the virtual world that we're working with phones and Zooms? The most missed opportunity I see is I've got Deborah on the phone. I'm trying to set up an appointment with Deborah. Deborah tells me, nah, I'm working, I'm happy, I'm doing fine. Hey, Deborah, congratulations. Not many people can say that. The timing's not right for you. But Deborah, who do you know whose life you can help change by going to Delta College?
Yeah.
Boom, 2 sentences, and it works. It works. If your reps are making 20 contacts, talking to 20 people a week, and they get 30% of them, they're able to get a name from, that's 5, 6 names of people that fit your demographic just from those 2 sentences. Same thing if you set up an appointment. Katie, fantastic. We're going to go on Zoom right now. But Katie, it sounds like you're taking the first step to making things a little bit better or following your dream. Who do you know whose life you can help change by going to Delta College? And you know what? I guarantee you're going to walk away with 1, 2, 3 PDIs because or referrals. We could argue the terminology, but you're going to walk away with 1, 2, or 3 names. And again, if you're conducting 10 interviews a week and you walk away with 3 names out of 10, 30%, that's 3 names times 50 weeks, 150 PDI leads, 10% conversion rate. And you've got 15 more enrollments, probably 12 starts that didn't cost you a nickel. So if you could get your admissions team just to ask those 2 questions at the end of every call, regardless of how the call went, hey, it sounds like you've got it all together. Congratulations, not too many people. Or, hey, it sounds like you've made the first step. Hey, Deborah, who do you know whose life you can help change by going to my school? And back in the day when I was asking referrals, I'd have to go, I don't have my address book. Well, we didn't have cell phones back then. Now everybody's got their phone. They'll give you a name and phone number or 2 or 3. So makes sense. You guys may be doing it, but incorporate those 2 sentences into your rep's phone dialogue. Who do you know whose life you can help change? Most reps get it stuck in their throat because it's too, quote, salesy. It always comes at the end. Hey, who do you know that, wants to go to school? Well, if you frame it right, whose life can you help change? All right, peer references. Again, on my applications, and I recommend this, and some schools have taken it, and it works. On your application or whatever, we have peer references, okay? And as they're filling it out, 9 out of 10 times they say, hey, what's this peer references? Well, hey, Deborah, put 2 people down. I don't want your grandmother, your aunt, but 2 people that know you really well, 2 of your friends that know you really well, that I'm going to call. I'm going to tell them that you're thinking about coming to school, and I'm going to find out a little bit about you from them. They'll put it down. They'll put the 2 names down. Give it a day or 2. Katie put Deborah down. So today, I'm going to wait till tomorrow, probably the next day. I'm going to call Deborah up because by that time, Katie has spoken to Deborah. Hey, this guy is going to call you from Delta College and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to call Deborah. Hey, Deborah, you probably spoke to Katie. Katie's thinking about she's coming in for our medical assistant program. Has she talked to you about it? Just have 3 or 4 questions. Has she talked to you about getting into the medical field, about her getting into the medical field? How do you think she would do dealing with people? Do you think she can handle the workload? Oh, fantastic. Hey, by the way, you know, what are you doing? And then going into your phone dialogue. So again, just by adding 2 peer references, and I know the schools that have financial aid in the States, they have to put down references, has nothing to do with the references. It's peer evaluations. You know, 2 of their friends or 2 people that know them really well, and you have to frame it so, hey, I don't want your grandmother, I don't want your aunt, I don't want your uncle. But 2, hey, if you're getting 10 enrollments a week as a team, that's what? That's 20 more names that you have for your reps to call that fit your demographics. Let's say you convert 5 of them. All right, so, you know, that's 1 extra enrollment a week. As a result, times 50, guess what? 50 enrollments just by putting peer evaluations, you know, in there.
Scott, I've got a
Again,
question for you.
yeah, absolutely.
In the United States, are you allowed to give a referral check to a student who gave you a referral? I know you're not allowed to give compensation to reps, but what about a client?
Well, it's, you know, to students, it used to be the limit was $50 and it was $25. And now I think the way the rule is, and I'm a little shady on it, Deborah, I don't think you can, or you can only give 1 referral present, like a backpack or whatever, 1 a year or something. And Deborah, you probably know this better than I do. Back in the day, what we used to do is we give a $100 savings bond, because the savings bond costs $50. But it was like giving them, you can't do it anymore, but we would make a big deal going into the classrooms and giving, you know, a student $200-300 savings bond, U.S. savings bond. But you really can't do it now.
You can't do anything. And if you do give something to someone, everybody who is on that campus, including students, has to get the same thing. So
the short answer is no.
We steer way clear of that.
Yeah, exactly. But again, you know, if you're doing student appreciations and things like that, everybody's got a chance. And again, that may be a gray area. We used to have it during the holidays, during Christmas or whatever. The students would put their cards in there, and the ones we would pick, we would make a donation to, you know, whatever, the local food bank, and that student's name, and, you know, that type of thing. So it kind of gets away from the gray area because you're making a donation, that student's name.
There are some things that it's good that the Canadian regulatory system has not followed the American. We're still allowed to give commission at that.
So, there you go. And again, that's how I started out, straight commission.
Yeah, back to yours.
Yeah. So the 2 peer references, anybody agree, disagree with, you know, any of these 2 things as far as the phone dialogue or the peer evaluations or peer, you know, peer references on your application? Again, it will generate leads. Exit interviews. So again, Deborah, in your schools and Frank and whoever else is on the call, most schools do an exit interview. It's either the director of financial aid, the school director, or whomever, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, it's a missed opportunity. Nowhere is a student more excited. Well, it was 2 times. When they first start school, they're nervous, they're excited. But when they're getting ready to graduate, they're jumping up and down, they're excited. So if I'm the director, I'm interviewing Frank, because Frank is graduating. Chances are in your school, your director knows just about all the students and everything else. I call Frank in the office for the exit interview. Hey, Frank, I can't believe you're graduating already. It seems like yesterday. How do you feel? Frank, I can't believe it. I'm going to be working for Mercedes-Benz. I'm going to be an auto technician, you know, whatever. And Frank, it's fantastic. Remember when you first walked in here? Remember how you felt? Yeah. How do you feel now? Excited. Hey, Frank, who do you know who can benefit from going to school just like you did? Boom. They've got their phone. I've trained directors of schools to do that, and they would come out with 2, 3, 4 referrals from that student that they would do an exit interview out, come into admissions, and throw it in an admissions face and say, hey, I got 3, 4, you know, 3 in. I mean, they bought into it. So who's ever doing your exit interviews now, when I was at schools, we would have graduation, we would set up the tables in the back with our brochures, because we figured, oh, all the people coming to graduation, they're going to want to go. And we never got one lead from those things. But if you've got that student one-on-one with the exit interview, no matter who's doing it, get them trained in a little bit of dialogue. I mean, it's a really good feeling at that point for both parties. And you know what? Your student has their phone. They'll give your director, who's ever doing the exit interview, 2, 3, 4 of their friends' names and phone numbers. So if you've got 10 people graduating, guess what? You just got 10 or 20 referrals from that particular student. And their friends know that that student put in a year, 2 years, or whatever at your school, and they're going on to working wherever they're working. So, hey, those are good leads. I promise you, they're good leads. So again, if you've got 10 students graduating, 20 students graduating every quarter, that's another 30, 40 referral leads that you're getting, 100 a year that are going to convert, let's say at 10%, they're going to convert higher, but that's another 10 right there for not, it doesn't cost you a nickel to get those. So how much time are we? We've got what, about 6 minutes, Katie, I guess? You know, social media, again, you know, some schools have a lot of success with social media, and really to get referrals of PDIs. And it's always dangerous to have reps post in the school's name. But if you've got somebody at your school that, you know, you would get on the school's Facebook page and just post really, really good content, particularly things like testimonials of students that are in school, that are graduating. You know, the content is important rather than, oh, class is starting soon, or, you know, whatever. But those are leads that you really don't have to pay, you know, a nickel for. So again, we've only got a few minutes. I can go on and on about this. If you take a look at just building the pyramid, you know, if you've got 100 enrollments, 2 referrals, 2 peer evaluations gives you 200 referrals. 20% conversion rate gives you 40 extra enrollments. 2 for each one of those is 80 more referrals. 20% conversion, on and on and on. So for those 100 enrollments, it comes down to where you'd be getting 65 extra enrollments per 100 enrollments that don't really cost you a nickel, because you can't give referral fees anymore. So what does it cost? Well, it costs you putting in it to your phone dialogue. It costs you having somebody who's doing your exit interviews, asking for them in a, you know, in a good way, not a salesy way, because that student is really, really excited. Some of the other areas, and I know we're running out of time, I was worried, no matter what school I worked for Concord for 5 years, pretty good sized chain of medical schools. We had a good relationship with some of the area hospitals, Tampa General, which had more than a couple of thousand employees, and some of the other hospitals. So what we did was we approached the HR department at the time. We put together a Concord Tampa General Presidential Award, $1,500 presidential award to any employee at Tampa General that wants to go to Concord. And we put a little, you know, a few questions. I had to write like a 50-word essay on why they wanted to get into the medical assisting or billing and coding or whatever. And we printed off flyers. HR put them into every single paycheck every month. Now, most people have direct deposit, but they still get the physical envelope with it. And that was in every single pay stub, you know, that they handed out to their employees. Hey, hospitals have a lot of, you know, a lot of other people other than doctors and nurses. They've got orderlies, food service people. We used to get 1-2 enrollments a month from Tampa General. And what did it cost us? It cost us $1,500 on paper, you know, but we were collecting $11,000 in tuition. Got to the point where Tampa General was matching it with $1,000 of their money put towards employees that wanted to go to school. So what do you think we did? We went to all the other area hospitals and did the same, with them. The cosmetology school did the same thing. It took grunt work. We did the same thing with all of the salons. Anybody from the salon that wants to go to Meridian, we did like a $500 presidential award. And we put them in all the salons. We got receptionists, we got their customers checking out the school. So again, no matter what type of school you have, it takes some grunt work. Putting together a presidential award will get you another 1, 2, 3 enrollments a month. And yeah, your director may say, well, yeah, but it's costing us $1,500. No, it's not costing you a nickel, because you're spreading it out over the life of the student, academic, the 12 months, but you're also gaining $11,000, $12,000, $13,000 in revenue. You could either pay $1,000 cost per start, or the cost per start is costing you nothing except the $1,000 or $1,500. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So again, setting that up was real easy. We expanded it out to the high schools, a way of getting a really quick high school program going. We had our high school presenter go out to every single high school in the area. We gave I think it was $2,000 scholarships to each high school we donated. And they had to come up with, a 100-word essay. They had to get 2 letters of reference, one from the teacher, maybe their pastor. And at that point, we had the high school counselors working for us, because they get judged on how many scholarships they're able to bring into the school. And we used to award them at senior, and again, can't really do it now, but again, those are things, a quick way to get a high school program going. And we've got about 2 minutes. We took that one step further as well, and we had high school scholarship testing day. So a couple of times during the year on a Saturday, we would invite all the high school students in to take a Wonderlic test or whatever. It took a half an hour. We took the top 10 scores. Our advisory committee used to look at the scores. They pared it down to the top 5. They interviewed the 5, and they were responsible on who got the scholarships. But you know what? So we gave out maybe $10,000, $15,000 in scholarships, but we wound up getting 200-300 leads. So again, dollar cost for a few hundred high school leads. So again, I wish we had more time, because I can go into more detail on that. Anybody that wants to talk, hey, you've got my email address, scott@enrollmentresources.com. I'd love to spend a little bit of time with you if you're interested on some of the ways to build up the PDI referral plan. Any questions, though? I know didn't leave much room for, question. 48 seconds. Oh. All right. Pound sand, or does some of it make sense at least?
I really liked the emphasis, that the phrasing you were using about, do you know someone who could be helped by this? Like you say, trying to take some of that sales language out and just focus it on just authentically, if they did know someone for whom this would benefit, you'd help them out. You're not demanding it. You're not Cutco. You're not selling knives, trying to get 2 names. Like, it's not.
Yeah, who do you know whose life you can help change by going to my school? It's so simple, and it works on phone calls. It works on the exit interviews, and you'll get, try it. And if you can get 2 a week, 3 a week, and then I haven't even hit getting your staff